Have you ever heard about Zen Buddhism and just thought, what is that really about? It can seem so mysterious, full of contradictions and strange ideas. Well, that's exactly what we're going to dive into. We're going to try to untangle some of that mystery and get right to the heart of what Zen is all about.
So let's just jump right into the deep end with a classic Zen verse. Read that. Empty-handed, I go, and behold, the spade is in my hands. It's a total contradiction, right? It makes absolutely no logical sense. But here's the thing. That's the whole point. This isn't a mistake. It's a doorway. This merry paradox is how Zen looks at the world.
So, how is that possible? Well, according to Zen, the biggest thing standing in our way is our own brain, our own logical mind. To get Zen, you don't need to learn more stuff. You actually have to do the complete opposite. You have to unlearn that constant nagging need for everything to make perfect, rational sense.
And honestly, the best way to figure out what Zen is to first get crystal clear on everything it isn't. So let's start by knocking down some of the most common misconceptions out there.
First off, is Zen a religion? Well, not in the way we usually think of one. There's no specific god you're supposed to worship. In fact, all those things we associate with religion, like fancy ceremonies, complex rituals, strict rules, Zen sees them as external fluff. They're seen as distractions that can actually get in the way of finding real, genuine clarity inside yourself.
Okay, fine. So is it a philosophy then? Nope, not really that either. You see, philosophy is all about logic and analysis. Zen calls itself the antipode to logic, which is just a fancy way of saying it's the polar opposite. There are no doctrines to memorize. Famously, some Zen masters have even called sacred scriptures mere waste scraper, only good for wiping away the dirt of the intellect. Zen isn't here to give you answers, it's just here to point the way.
Now, with all this talk about emptiness and getting rid of ideas, you might think Zen sounds kind of nihilistic. Like it's all about believing in nothing. But that is a huge misunderstanding. Zen's goal isn't just to say no to everything. It's a method to break through our dualistic thinking. That habit we have of splitting everything into two, good or bad, right or wrong, me or you. By getting past that, Zen is aiming for what it calls a higher affirmation, a reality that's way beyond a simple yes or no.
So if Zen isn't a religion, and it's not a philosophy, and it's definitely not nihilism, then what on earth is left? We've cleared the ground of all the myths. Now we can finally get to the absolute core of Zen. It all boils down to one single, life-changing experience.
And that experience is called Satori. This isn't something you can study for. It's a sudden awakening, a flash of intuition where your whole view of reality just shifts. It's like you've been looking at a picture your whole life, and in an instant you realize it's actually a 3D image, and a whole new world just opens up. The story of the monk Kyojin is the perfect example of how this works. This guy spent years studying, trying to think his way to enlightenment, and he just got more and more frustrated. So he gave up. He burned all his books and took a simple job as a caretaker. And then, one ordinary day, while he's sweeping, a little pebble he flicks away hits a stalk of bamboo. The tink of that sound, in that one single instant, bam, he got it. Satori didn't come from intense study. It came from a simple, unexpected moment of just being.
And this quote really gets at what that moment feels like. It's not just some cool idea. It's described as this profound feeling of joy and release, like you rapport your whole life and suddenly discovered an incredible treasure you never even knew was there.
Okay, this all might sound pretty out there, right? Like something that only happens to monks on a remote mountaintop. But here's the biggest paradox of all. This profound, mind-blowing awakening isn't found somewhere else. It's found right here, in the most ordinary parts of our lives.
This is exactly what the masters were talking about. Zen isn't some far-off goal you have to strive for. It's already here. It's in this very moment. It's as simple and as close to you as your own everyday thoughts.
Check out this story. It's one of the most famous in Zen, and it makes this point perfectly. A young monk, totally eager for some deep spiritual wisdom, goes up to the great master Joshu and asks for instruction. But Joshu doesn't give him some long speech. He just asks a ridiculously simple question about the monk's morning.
So the monk says, "Yep, I've eaten." And the master's great instruction? "If so, wash your bowls." And in that moment, the monk was enlightened. Why? Because the entire teaching was right there. Enlightenment isn't some grand idea. It's being fully present in whatever you're doing, whether it's eating a meal or just washing a bowl.
This really gets to the core of it.
The miracle isn't about escaping your life, it's about diving deeper into the simple stuff. Carrying fuel, drawing water, the most profound, miraculous moments are hidden inside the most mundane tasks.
But let's be real. How do you actually train your mind to see the world this way? It's not easy to just break our lifelong habits of thinking and analyzing everything. Well, to help with this, Zen came up with a very unique and, honestly, a very strange tool.
And that tool is the koan. Now, a koan looks like a riddle, but it's a trick. It's not meant to be solved with logic. In fact, its entire purpose is to do the opposite, to completely short-circuit your logical mind, to push it until it gets so exhausted that it's forced to just let go. That's when the intuitive leap can happen.
And here are some of the most famous ones. Listen to the sound of one hand. How can you do that? It's impossible for logic. Or, if you meet the Buddha on the road, kill him. What? That sounds crazy, right? These aren't puzzles to be solved. They are tools designed to break your mind free from its usual predictable patterns.
And we'll leave you with this final koan. It takes this idea that we've all heard, that everything is connected, that everything is one, and it pushes it right off a cliff. So if everything can be reduced to one, where does that one go? There's no logical answer. The solution isn't a word or an idea you can write down. It's an experience. And finding your own way into that experience, well, that's the path of Zen.